more. Well, it is September, which means it is National Recovery Month. And you guys know I love to celebrate recovery or remind everyone who may be facing active addiction or living with someone who's in the midst of recovery that it's possible and there is life on the other side of addiction. Joining us here in the studio today is Miss Ruth Ann Rigby as well as Miss Neely Lyons. They are here gearing up for the 2021 Rise Up, Summit that's coming up on Wednesday here. But it's going to be virtual, so now it's opened up to anybody who wants to join. So first, welcome, ladies.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Well, it's so good. I love this topic. I know it's a tough topic, but to me, I love the celebration part of it because we're talking about recovery. It's National Recovery Month, and so I think that's something that so many families are praying for, are working through, and then also should be encouraged to celebrate it and share those stories so other families can see that it's possible too. So, Ruth Ann, I'm going to start with you. What does it mean to celebrate National Recovery Month? Like, I know what I think it should be about, but what is it actually about?
Well, for me, let me first say my name is Ruth Ann, and I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, and I've been clean and sober for 24 and a half years. And what Recovery Month is about is really celebrating people who are in recovery. We can share our experience, strength, and hope, and help others get into recovery.
And so, Neely, I know you also help on a day-to-day basis people who are walking this road of recovery, whether they're at the very beginning of it or the middle of it, or maybe they're, 2 decades out from it. So what does a month like this to sort of just shine light on that means to you?
Thank you. I feel like this month is an opportunity for us to celebrate healing, resilience, families, all of the families that we work with. We try to make sure that they, because they're in the middle of a crisis, we make sure that they recognize that there are people who are living in long-term recovery, that every time you reach out to a loved one and offer them treatment and assistance, that's an opportunity for them to catch fire with recovery and live the life they were meant to live. So that's the beautiful thing about the job that Ruth Ann and I have, helping families find recovery for their loved ones, is that we get to be on the other side as well and just see some true miracles. And you'd be surprised how many people in our community are walking miracles. Now, not everybody lives their recovery out loud, but I assure you that there is hope at the end of treatment for families and individuals who take a chance on treatment.
And I feel like addiction is one of those things now, like cancer and sort of others. There's no one listening to good things that hadn't had a family member or a loved one or someone that they've known that's been affected by it. And it is sort of a crisis for the whole unit, right? It's not just one person. There's usually one person who's really struggling with their addiction, but it affects everybody else sort of around. When you mention the word crisis, what does that mean? Does it mean or is Mississippi in a crisis when it comes to addiction?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, we are in a crisis. And, Neely and I have been, we're the co-founders of the Opioid and Heroin Summit. And, when we were coming up with themes this year about, coming out of COVID and everything, that's how we came up with the theme, Rise Up, because we are coming out of a storm. And that's what recovery is. You're coming out of all that chaos that you've been creating. One of the things that we're very proud of with the summit is we're able to help people to get assistance on site. And just because that's virtual this year doesn't mean we can't help you on site. We will have teams dedicated on site for those who need immediate assistance. They can come by the church at Broadmoor Baptist Church Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and we'll have counselors on standby to help them. The attendees will not. They'll be virtual, but we still have dedicated teams to help those that are struggling, and that's what we're there for.
So, Neely, when you and Ruth Ann came together and had this idea for the Opioid and Heroin Summit, what is the gap that it's sort of, or bridging, or where's the gap that it's bridging?
Sure. The history of this particular conference dates back to 2012, and at that time, Ruth Ann and I and several others recognized that there was an opportunity to bring public health and public safety together in the same forum and talk about the two sides of addiction. And so that's really been the focus for this conference for every year since. And you see that in the speakers that will be presenting on behalf of the state. They will be giving lots of information to demonstrate the efforts that is being put out by the state to address the epidemic of opioid addiction and addiction generally. If I could, I just want to pivot for a second and say that if you look at and go to the website, by the way, that's www.drugsummit.com, and pull down the menu and look at the agenda, and you'll be able to see just in the first day how much this conference is focused on the community. The first speaker is Josh Brady, and he is going to be speaking on behalf of Broadmoor, where he is the head pastor, and every day he has families that come to him that are facing addiction, and he has to direct them spiritually as well as to resources. And that's why the Center for Hope and Healing at Broadmoor has provided a phone number. And I'll give that phone number now, but it will be also available on the website, 601-898-4947, and anyone can call that number, and they will minister with that family as well as direct them to resources that may help their loved one. But as you go through the agenda, you'll also see that there are national speakers who are going to be focused on the family. Specifically, what Ruth and Ann and I talked about before we came in today was how many families are struggling coming out of COVID with individuals who may have, let's just say, had suspicious drinking or heavy drinking as part of their lifestyle. But the isolation and some of the economic impacts of COVID has really struck people hard. And the individuals that we work with now are, frankly, at late stage addiction, where they're compromised their health and not just their safety and their families, but they are really, really impaired. And it's really important for families and communities to get their loved one to treatment as soon as possible.
I love that the theme of this, Ruth Ann, is community, because I feel like that's what we are here on Good Things. And there's some of us who maybe right now we don't have an active addict in our family. Maybe we do have a closet recovered one or somewhere in between. So we feel a little hopeless. I kind of feel like myself, not really sure. I know this is helping, obviously, getting the word out, but what part does everyone play in that community effort of recovery?
You know, it's a team effort. It's a team effort when one gets into recovery, from sponsorship to service work to community. And that's what recovery is for me. It helped me get into service, to be a service to other than myself, get out of self and get into action. And, I was so isolated in my using that, it was me, myself, and I didn't care about anybody else. And we just know that there are a lot of people in our community that are struggling right now, that are scared to reach out for help. They don't know who to reach out to. There's so many services in our state through the Department of Mental Health, through the Department of Health. There is no reason why anyone seeking for assistance cannot get the help that they need.
That's good news, though.
That is great news. That is great news. And, and that's one of the things that we're proud about with the summit, that we have brought these entities together, and they have just gone out and made a huge impact on our community.
And I know, too, reaching out in terms of community thinking, you're bridging the Mississippi public health with, obviously, the public safety, because obviously having a high number of those who are in active addiction is a public safety issue. Right. If they're driving, they're still going to work. If they're parenting, and sort of looking and challenging. I think one thing I've learned here on Good Things over the years, Ruth Ann, is to look at addiction from my perspective differently, which helps me better understand or maybe approach the issue with loved ones or friends, or seeing from a compassionate standpoint instead of a wagging your finger standpoint, because that hasn't always worked.
It's the disease that has a horrific stigma attached to it, the stigma. We don't make fun of people that suffer from diabetes, and I'm certainly one of those people. We don't make fun of people who struggle with heart disease. You don't see people making jokes on late night talk shows about those things, but you see people making jokes about people who are struggling, probably in the public sector, that, somebody needs to ask the question, what makes this make sense? Why is this happening? How can we help that person? And that's truly the goals of the summit, is just to help one family at a time.
Well, we hope to help more than that, right? One family at a time, absolutely. But you hope to do more. So the summit is this Wednesday and Thursday.
And Friday.
Yes. It is going to be virtual this year. But if we are in the central area, can we still come to Broadmoor?
You can still come to Broadmoor, yes, if you need assistance. We have, through our sponsorships with the Department of Health and the Department of Mental Health, we have just taken into every consideration due to COVID restrictions. And so we can't have people in person in the sessions, if you will, because we're taping live. We have a production much like you have here going on, but so we will have teams on the outside in the commons areas to be able to help those families that are struggling.
Well, we're going to make sure that you know all the virtual details on the summit coming up next here on More. We're finding out more about the opioid and heroin drug summit that's coming up this Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. It will be virtual this year in celebration of the fact that September is National Recovery Month. We are continuing our conversation with Ruth Ann Rigby and Neely Lyons, who are the founders of this summit. I will have to say, someone texted in and said that they have a program at their church called Celebrate Recovery. So I love that. It's a Christian-based recovery program, not just for addicts and alcoholics. It's any hurts, habits, or hang-ups. And it is Grace Fellowship. So thank you for that text message, Robbie. And I feel like, yes, I think we should celebrate all the ways that people are helping sort of break that stigma and get families moving forward on the road to recovery, because y'all would both agree it's a road, right?
It's a road.
It's a journey.
It's a journey that takes the rest of your life.
Yes, I love that. And it's sometimes the honesty with that, because I feel like some people feel like you should just snap, be over it, and then no, if you accept, hey, this may be my thorn to bear, but I can do it with the right resources and support. And so what I heard you ladies say was, whether you're a clinician or just an average Joe, if you're wanting more information, whether it's the first step or the 1,000th, then you can get something valuable out of this summit. So it's for everybody.
It's for everyone. And, you know, one of the things that we're able to do this year, even though it's virtual, we're still there live and in person with our staff. But we have a registration code. If they go to the drugsummit.com website and they want to attend the summit, whether they're a mom or a dad or a student or a clinician or a lawyer, they can enter this code, and it's MSD, Mississippi Drug 2021. So it's MSD 2021. And so when you enter your name, it'll take you to it'll ask for the code, and it will zero out the balance. So there's no charge to attend.
Oh, that's nice.
No charge to attend.
Say that again.
It's free. FREE, free, if you use the code MSD 2021.
So let's go back through all the speakers, because if you do go to the website, which is drugsummit.com, you've got a smorgasbord if you're looking at the agenda.
Right.
So who are the standout ones that you just kind of want people to get their ears perked up to, maybe a good reason to come? Although they're all a good reason to come.
They are.
I don't mean it that way.
You know, we have Tamika Luckett. She's a nurse who's going to talk about COVID and intimate partner violence and the parallels that coincide with addiction. We have Molly Taylor from the Department of Mental Health. We have Ken Seeley, who is the star of the A&E Intervention Show. He's on the second day. We have Heath Chitwood from Cumberland Heights. We have Mick Pearson from the Department of Health, who always brings great data and information that's very important.
And Ruth Ann, we must mention my husband, Doug Lyons.
Oh, yes. And Doug
I know
Lyons.
He's listening.
Hey, Doug, we're talking about you. And, you know, one of the things that we do so every day is we work with families, and sometimes families need extra help, and that's where interventionists come in. And like Doug and Neely are certainly on they're speaking at the summit. We have Ben Seymour and also Ken Seeley. So we've got everybody really is a stand-up.
And I feel like if you're listening, and I feel like this is such an emotional topic for some. I mean, it's stirring up old wounds. It's maybe even pouring salt in some open ones right now. It's convicting you wherever it may be with you or your family. I feel like, you know, you need to know that no matter where you are, I think you can find help. But my heart goes out to those who maybe have a loved one who's disconnected, living in active addiction, and maybe they're the one that wants recovery for them, but they don't even know how. Like when you mentioned the word interventionist, and they didn't even know that was an option or how that was. So I can't imagine the hopelessness someone listening feels when they want so bad to help a loved one, but they don't know what to do with their hands.
Right. And it's the most important thing to take away from us is to reach out and ask for help, no matter if it's from us or if it's from your pastor, if it's from your teacher, if it's from your coach or your doctor. Just ask for help. And there are those who can help you navigate that journey, because that's very important. But, you know, with it being National Recovery Month, it's also National Suicide Awareness Month. And those go hand in hand for us. And, you know, anybody that is struggling needs to get the help that they need. And, you know, we have a an 800 number that is staffed 24/7, and that number is 877-210-8513. That number is 877-210-8513, and that's done through the Mississippi Department of Mental Health. And so there's always help available. We hope that you will join us virtually. You know, we worked very hard this year. It was a hard decision to pivot to go virtually, but it was the best decision that we could have made due to COVID. But we have the ability to reach so many more people now than just the 600 that come to the church. Now we can reach a lot more people in our state and our community.
600 are coming to be there on site for this information. There's probably 6,000, if not
well,
2 times that.
As long as our platform doesn't crash, but I think we're safe. We're safe.
Y'all join us.
You know, and that's the thing. You know, there's no reason why you cannot attend the summit this year because it's free.
Well, and also, Ruth Ann, we need to be sure that they know that if you register, and let's say you can't take 3 days off of work and attend the conference, the website will stay active. In other words, you can go back and visit the presentations post-conference through December 31st.
Yes.
And that's a really valuable piece of information, because if you're wondering whether or not this is the conference for you or whether you have time to attend, we are going to resolve that for you. You can come for free, and you can view and review any of the presentations through December 31st, as long as you've registered for the conference.
And I think that would be the first step. I mean, if you're feeling overwhelmed or overloaded on what to do, I think here's your sign for today. This would just be the first step to at least register, and maybe a speaker or a topic will connect with you on where to go next. Because even, and I was talking from the family part, but I think there's a lot when you brought up, Neely, of the part about COVID, who maybe find themselves now teetering with a dangerous, with a habit, and so maybe they realize, I don't know how to stop now that we are on the other side.
One of the things that we started, First Responders of Mississippi, who oversees the Opioid and Heroin Summit, and the Mississippi Nurses Association, started over a year and a half ago. We do Thursday webinars. They're 30-minute webinars, and we have reached over 2,000 healthcare providers and first responders through that initiative, because they are struggling. They don't know what to do. It's created such a burnout for everyone, and we just want people to know there's hope and there's healing, and we can answer those questions in a safe zone. You can come to the church and get help in a safe zone. And everything's done confidentially.
And there is hope. That's why it's celebrating recovery, because there are those who make it through it. Even if you feel like you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, you've got plenty of people who are willing to share their story, that proves that it can be done with a lot of hard work and a good team around you. I did want to say that there's also an adolescent component to it, right?
Yes,
because that's the scariest part for me as a mom.
It's very scary for people who have kids, because they're struggling too. And we have a couple of adolescent speakers that are phenomenal. On the second day, we have Mike Garisi. He is from Families First Adolescent Services out of Palm Beach, Florida, who's going to bring a great presentation. But really, all the presenters, you can apply to any area of your life. That's the beauty of this. That's the beauty of recovery, because we can apply it to any area of our life. The need for acceptance and the need for powerlessness. So no matter what your struggle is, we have something for you at the summit.
Well, Ruth Ann, I appreciate you just approaching this topic with such joy. And I know because it's not a joyous topic, but you have such a cheer about you, and sharing your own story, and also just adding those words of encouragement every day. I feel like you're definitely where you're supposed to be.
Well, I think I'm definitely where we're supposed to be, and we're doing what God's called us to do, and that's to help as many people as we can.
And we can do that by step 1 is signing up for the summit. So remind us, where do we go to do it, and then all the things?
Sure. You go to drugsummit.com and you enter the code MSD2021, and that will take you to a free slot. You don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss that. It's free. There's no reason why you can't get educated, and it is a mobile platform as well. So just join us any way that you can.
CEUs for?
CEUs are available for many different disciplines. You can
Too many to list. Go to
too
the
many to
website.
list, but the short version is all DMH credentials, LPCs, which is through NBCC, and social work,
CADCs.
and CADCs. I mean, there's like 20 different disciplines that are approved for hours. And so, again, the beauty is that you don't have to join us this week. You can just join us. We will have about over half the presenters are coming live and in person and filming at the church. And so we have 2, I think, that are taped. But, another speaker that I just want to throw out there real quick is Trey O'Kane, who's an attorney here in town who does court commitments. And he's going to walk you through the process. If you have a family member that is not willing to go, he'll walk you through that process. He's the last speaker of the day on Friday.
Well, you guys have left us a lot to want, and I hope more people join the virtual summit. I don't think you will regret it. And stick with us. We've got more for you coming up next.